some great business leaders are great observers. But the ones with the strongest opinions are often the worst at observing. Figure out what your opinions are and confront them.
What's the trick here?
Description of experience. Do it long enough that they can see patterns. I think it's key to business.
はい、クロスディグ101始まります。今日はですね、海外からのゲストをお呼びしてます。この素晴らしい本なんですが、クリスチャン・マスビアウさんという方が書いた心眼、心の目。サブタイトルいいですね。あなたは見ているようで見ていないということで、これを読むとですね、なんか私たちが普段ビジネスとかで風景とか家族とか社会を見ている景色が変わるというか、この番組を見終わった後に、こうやって本当は物事を見た方がいいんじゃないかとか、こうやって見た方が本質的なんじゃないかってことは分かるインタビューになると思います。ちょっとクリスチャンさんをご紹介する前に肩書きだけお伝えすると、コンサルティングファームレッド RED アソーシエイツの共同創業者で、本当に私昔からこのセンスメイキングとか知ってるんですけど、人間科学とか哲学とかアートとかそういったいろんな知見を全部この本に詰め込んでいただいて、きっとビジネスパーソンにとっても面白い、コンテンツになると思います。では早速クリスチャンさんをお呼びしましょう。So Christian, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So is this your first time in Japan?
It is not.
It's not?
It is not. I've come here for more than 25 years.
25 years?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
is that?
When I was 19, someone sent me a check in the mail.
Okay.
And it was a Japanese foundation called Sasakawa Foundation. And I hadn't applied for it.
Okay. Why did they reach out to you?
I don't know. They said, go to Japan,
Go to Japan.
write about what you see, and enjoy.
That's a dream letter.
Fantastic.
Fantastic letter. I want to have that letter.
Exactly.
And what did you see in Japan back then?
I went here for 3 months, and I moved around, and I wrote back to a newspaper in Denmark, where I'm from, and wrote about architecture primarily, but just about the experience of seeing the place. And I felt that I met the future. In a sense, I felt that I arrived at the future. And since then, I've just been in love with the country and with the people here.
Wow.
So in a sense, it worked.
Yeah.
It created a long-standing relationship with Japan for me.
Great. So I'm asking this because before going on to your wonderful book, so it's Shingan in Japanese, but look in English. So I guess people watching this show will, learn how to look at the world. But before going onto the subject, may I ask about what's your purpose of this visit today to Japan?
Yeah. So the book is coming out, or just came out 2 weeks ago.
Okay, it's a wonderful cover. So,
right.
Yeah.
And when a publisher makes a bet on you, you better help out and support.
So you came here to promote your book.
I did. I did, and talk to people and talk to business leaders in the country and friends I had over years. So I've been here for 4 days now.
So what's your impression of Japanese business leaders?
Right now?
Right now.
I get 2 questions. First of all, I get so much grace and so much warmth from people. But the 2 questions they have is, how do we understand foreign markets? One. And what's this AI thing? Those are the 2 questions. What do we do about it? So both are about understanding people, I think, and how people relate to a technology. Those are the 2 main questions.
What's your answer?
Well, that's a long thing. Foreign markets is learn how to study people, right? Learning how to study, and that's not a Japanese thing. That's any country, anybody that operates in a foreign market needs to learn how to understand culture and understand the local culture. The AI thing is a long discussion that we should maybe talk about, but I think the new technologies raise questions about what it means to be human, how humans are different from machines, if we even are. Is creativity something only we have, or does machines have it now? Those are the kinds of questions that Japanese business leaders are asking. Very philosophical questions.
Yes,
really.
So that amazed me because foreign markets, AI, those kind of questions people ask to like financial advisors or economists, but they're asking you.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. We should talk to them. But I imagine they think that the ability and the interest in people could be the beginning of both, right? That if you know something about people and the way we find our way around in the world, our emotions, our subjective experiences of the world, our intersubjective experiences, maybe that's a good place to start to not just understanding others, but also understand how other people are relating to new events, like new technologies, for instance.
So in your wonderful book, Shingan Look, you argue that we live in a distracted world and we're not seeing the world as it is, because that puzzled me, because we have data, we have smartphones, we have AI. Aren't we seeing the world much better than like 10 or 20 years ago, or we're not seeing the world as it is?
In many ways, we are seeing it
Yes.
better. In many ways, we have tools at our disposal that are incredible. And if I told my grandmother some of the things we can do today, she would think I was kidding her. But on the other hand, I found in my students, in my employees and friends, I found people complaining about attention, the inability to pay attention to things, feeling distracted all the time. And some of the data about the use of these technologies, particularly small phones, are incredible, like 7-8 hours a day.
Yes.
Our American teenagers are on their phone. So it's not so strange that we feel distracted. And people feel really a deep sort of sadness from it, because they know it's wrong, but they somehow can't let go of it. So what I wanted to do in the book was to understand what is attention in the first place, at the most basic level, the most sort of fundamental human level. What is attention? Why is it important? How do we get better at it?
What's attention?
Right. So the way you usually talk about attention, when I tell my children, pay attention, it's a kind of a zoom, right?
Yes.
It is getting rid of all distractions and zooming in on
Pay attention
something.
to your homework or your
or to
meal.
me.
To me,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
to me, obviously.
Exactly, to your math.
To your math, yes.
And that is one kind of attention, and it's very important. It's what we use in science. Like, we can isolate variables and we can focus in on something. But that's not the only type of attention. That is important. We need maybe more of it, but it's not the only kind. I think there are several more. And at least one of them is the most magical one and the most human one, which in the book I call panoptic attention, which is this ability to pay attention to everything and nothing at the same time. So when you walk down the street, you can not pay attention to anything in particular, but somehow you find yourself going from where you were to where you want to go without any thought.
That's right.
It's not an intellectual exercise. It's not a mental thing. It is almost like a bodily way of readjust to the world. And that panoptic attention is what, in sports you would see it, like really great football players will know how to, if you look at their eyes, they have like a glaze of attention almost.
And they have like a bird's eye view of the whole field or
exactly.
something. Yes.
Sports people might be the best example, but it's something all of us have. And that kind of attention, panoptic attention, I think is deeply human. It's why it's so hard to make driverless vehicles, for instance, is because it might be possible, but the data amount you need compared to what humans process is incredibly high, because we somehow just have a type of attention that makes this possible.
That's amazing, because when we drive a car, we're not just paying attention to the road itself, but like if the children's coming to the road, we have to be careful.
Exactly.
We're paying attention to weather, all the data inside the car. So we have like a broad view of the atmosphere.
And when you think about the magic of this, like in Tokyo in this morning, 5 million, 10 million people got into their car, and 10 million went into subways and so on. And they all somehow managed to get from where they were to where they should be without crashing into each other very much.
That's right.
Not very much.
Very magical.
It's incredible, right? So that's a different kind of attention. And of course, if we're on our phone, we undermine that ability to have this broad panoptic type of attention. And I just wanted to celebrate that human magic of that.
Yes, and how can we not forget the broad panoptic attention? Because in business, we're told by our boss to focus on this market, focus on the product.
Right.
Focus, focus, focus.
Right, exactly. But I think the best of us don't do that. I think the best investors I have met incredible investors in my life, and they have a general sense of the market.
Yes.
And they adjust themselves to this broad type of attention. Of course, they focus in on aspects and details about something, but without the broad background, they can't do it. So there's a great investor that told me that there are two types of attitudes that he uses. He called it spotlight and floodlight.
Interesting.
A spotlight is a zooming in particularly on something with a laser on an aspect of a business or an aspect of a market. But the floodlight is what lights up the entire thing. And you can point at a detail about a business or a market. If you don't have the broad light that illuminates the whole market, you will only focus on one detail and not understand what's going on and not get the context of things.
How can we obtain such floodlight? What's the trick? Do we have to change our mindset, or how can we do that?
So what I've learned is that what undermines attention the most is opinion. So having opinions, having strong assumptions about something means you stop paying broad attention to things. So having political opinions or business opinions of something without challenging them end up undermining attention. So what's important is to figure out what your opinions are and confront them and use observation of the world to challenge your own assumptions, to challenge your own opinions. So the ones with the strongest opinions are often the worst at observing. And the opposite is also true. Observation is corrosive to opinion. So if you have very strong opinions, but you start looking, suddenly you realize maybe there were nuances that I didn't understand. Maybe things change, and I need to adjust my perspective on things.
In your book, Look, Shingan, you kind of introduced an interesting example about a student researching about the homeless community.
Right.
Could you elaborate on that? Because that shows how if people have certain stereotypes, they look at things in a certain way.
Right,
Could you
exactly.
elaborate on that?
Yes. I mean, I teach at a school with very strong opinions. And it also seems like many other students have been taught to have strong opinions. So you have a topic and instead of starting with wonder or curiosity, you start with opinion about it. So these students had very strong opinions about homelessness. And of course, homelessness is a problem in New York, a desperate problem. And some people said it's the state's fault, and some people said it's the market's fault, and so all kinds of opinions. None of them really looked at homelessness and homeless people.
So they're only paying attention to opinions and not the actual...
Exactly. The actual experience of not knowing where to sleep tonight. So I asked them, go out at night, nights in a row, and talk to people that don't know where to sleep tonight. Figure out what their life is like. Figure out what's it like to be them. And they found incredible things that completely undermined their positions or their opinions.
For instance, what?
For instance, one of the excellent students said they have to sleep under a lot of light. Otherwise, it's dangerous.
Oh,
right? You can't sleep in darkness. Two, it's extremely loud. New York City is a very loud town, which has the relationship to sleep. That means that you never sleep more than an hour and a half at any point, which means you're driven mad by the situation. And you can't make any decisions if you haven't slept for a long, long time like that. So really, sleep is the core to getting out of the situation. You can't think clearly in that. So light, sound, and sleep turned out to be more important than the opinions that they had about the state or welfare systems or something like that. It had to do with sleep.
Divide or,
Yeah. I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
Of course,
I'm just saying that's what they learned. And first and foremost, they learned that observation is important, and maybe their first opinions, they should be wait a little bit before they start judging things.
What's the trick to becoming a good observer? Because if I'm assigned to that project, I'll start looking onto my smartphone and have opinions and then go out to the streets.
Right.
What's the trick here?
Description of experience. So instead of, again, judging what you see, just describe it. Great journalists do that, right?
Yes.
Before they start thinking about how they should write a piece, they just describe what they see. And they do it long enough that they can see patterns. And then they start having opinions. So it's this ability to suspend judgment and observe or listen without judgment and without jumping to any conclusions, I think is the key to getting better at attention and also feeling better about your own attention.
Is that something everyone can do?
Yes, I think we all have it, and we all do it every day. But some people are better than others. I have found anthropologists to be really good at it. I have found journalists, actually. There's some journalists that are really good at it. Not all, but
some.
But some.
Okay.
No, but there's a big part of the population that have this ability. I found entrepreneurs, some entrepreneurs, incredible observers, and it's a little bit like going to the gym. In order to take care of your body, you have to run or strengthen yourself. The same goes with attention. That if you don't have a practice of exercise, you can end up undermining it.
So you can practice or exercise to become a good observer.
Yes, you can. You have it.
You have it.
But just like you have a body, but you need to keep it strong
and keep in shape.
Exactly. Exactly. And if all you do is follow other people's opinions and stare at a little piece of glass, then you undermine that ability, which is too bad because it's delightful.
How can you adapt this to business?
Right. I think it's key to business. I think entrepreneurship and startup culture is about insight into human beings and human activity. So they are often good observers, not all the time, but then entrepreneurs can create a product, send it to the market, and then understand how to adjust by understanding the response. I think some great business leaders are great observers. Some live such abstract lives, so far away from anything, that they lose the connection, and they should retrain themselves. So if I see executives in the auto industry that haven't bought a car for 20 years.
Really?
Because they get it for free, right? You have people in pharmaceutical companies that doesn't understand what it's like to be patient. And media executives that doesn't understand what's happening with normal people's relationship to media. The media industry might be the one that's true. That is really far away from.
We seem to be looking at the world, but we're not, as what you said.
Right. I mean, not you, but the media industry the last 30 years have been wrong pretty much the entire way. You look at CNN, you know what it was and what it is today. It's kind of a sad lack of attention to the people that they serve.
That's true.
So I think it's directly applicable to the business world. I think great business leaders and great entrepreneurs are good observers.
I think since you talk about media, what's happening in the United States right now, we're not going to talk about politics today, but
please.
Yes. So about what happened in the previous election, I think the media could not see what's going on in Rust Belt or other parts of the United States other than the West Coast or East Coast. They were not just observing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and looking at it with disdain.
Yeah.
Where that's one of the reasons why nobody's watching the TV channels anymore.
That's right.
It's not that TV is not relevant. It's just that you need to think about the people, or observe and understand the people that you deal with. You can challenge them and you can do all kinds of things, or you should. But if you don't understand it and you have no interest in it, then people feel it and they leave.
Let's talk about data and the human nature of observing things, because in your book, you have this famous picture. I have this arrow picture. And this is a famous photo. I see it in quiz books or social media. And we're told that, first of all, when I look at this, it seems to me that the lengths are different, but it's not. And I'm told that I have to be scientific. I have to use my ruler to, figure out the lengths. But how can we adapt data to our observation? Because when we look at things, always there's a data that tells I'm wrong.
Right. I mean, they are the same length.
Yes, they are.
Full stop.
It's a fact. Yes, it's a fact.
And that's important.
Yes, that's important. Yes.
And if the mathematical formulas behind the internet weren't true, we wouldn't be able to publish this to the internet. So there are facts
it's fact,
in the world. But what the point here is that human experience works differently. right? That we can be factual, we can be scientific, but generally we experience things as worlds or as wholes, or as the Germans call it, gestalts, right? And that is important too. That's also an experiential fact. And if you are a business leader, understanding the experience of people, not just the measurable, like you should feel better, or this car should be more delightful to you. Yeah, but it's not, right? And that's an important sort of aspect about human, like how we humans experience the world. And you can be against it if you want, if you like, but it's just the case.
Yeah.
And you being good at studying it, I think, is a key to sort of to understand what to do, what to make, and how to engage with people in general.
Should we have both, the actual lengths of the arrow and also how we feel? Should we have both?
Yes.
Inside? Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. And both are facts.
Yes.
It's a fact that's how we experience it.
How we experience is a fact.
Yeah.
Because we feel that way.
Exactly. It's an empirical fact.
Empirical fact.
Right.
So why do we forget that empirical fact these days? We tend to rely on having a ruler or the number or the actual fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy, really. We should have rulers and actual facts.
Yes.
But human experience is beautiful,
I agree.
Part of reality.
Yes.
It's like saying to people that are religious, saying God doesn't exist.
That's right. Yeah.
So like, but for them it does.
It does. Yeah. It's real for them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is important too, and an empirically observable fact. And why do we forget that? Well, scientific culture of spotlights and zooming in have higher status than experiential knowledge. And I think we should just have both.
Yes. I think maybe it's not an East versus West thing, but maybe Japanese business leaders will get this idea. It feels right to us.
Right.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's a wisdom here that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I would say there are places in the West, like in America, where it's really undermined.
Yeah.
But here, you still have it.
Yeah. Why is that?
You tell me. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe. So, have you visited Japanese homes? So, in Japan, so there's a house and there's a garden, and there's outside world, and the garden acts like a bridge between our homes and our outside world. So everything's very blunt.
Right.
It's not divided. It's house outside. So it's very connected. I think that type of culture we have, so much rooted into our system, or even our housing system. So I think that's kind of a common sense to us, that see something as a whole. Yeah. Yeah. And not dividing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is there are silos in every culture.
Of course.
Where, in a business, in a company, it would be finance and product and marketing and so on.
PR,
Yeah. But there's the strength of the company is the ability to see across that and have like a vision across these silos. And I experienced that the good executives in Japan and the good entrepreneurs in Japan have a strong sense of that.
Interesting, yeah.
And can manage the different silos. There is no world without silos, but just being in silos ruins everything. Then IT fights with marketing, and marketing fights with, and it's just boring and unsuccessful. Yeah.
In your book, you had an interesting word. You say about seeing the whole rather than just the parts. What do you mean by that?
So seeing the parts of something is the spotlight. You see a detail about a business, and making an investment decision based on that without the generalized whole means that you fly blind, really, and you over focus on that. I think philosophically, the point is that the whole defines what even counts as a part, right? And without understanding that, you can't see what completes this picture, and that's lethal for investment or lethal for any business situation.
Right.
Sorry.
No, sorry. So is the whole addition of each part? Is it part A, part B, part C, part D? A plus B plus C plus D is the whole, or is it different?
Well, you could say, some people say the sentence,
yes.
The whole is more than the sum of the
Yes.
parts. That's sort of a general thing
Yeah.
people say. I think the whole defines what even is a part,
Interesting.
right? What even counts as relevant and important.
So it's not starting from the part, but from the whole.
Correct. Correct. That's the philosophical.
Yeah.
And it's also just the way our experience work. It's just the way humans interact with the world is in that way. Great artists describe it.
Yeah.
Great investors describe it. It's just a very human thing, and something machines, for instance, have a very hard time doing.
How can you tell that it's a whole? Because even if you look at Japan, there's Asia. Even Earth, there's a whole universe.
Right.
What's the whole?
Right.
Yeah.
I usually think about it as worlds. So if I say the media world,
Yeah.
you would know all the parts
Yes.
of that, and you would understand what it is. Or the world of theater, right? You'd say,
Interesting.
what are the parts of the world of theater? Well, there are tickets and actors and plays, texts, theater places, seats, the whole practice of going, dressing up, all those things. Those are all aspects of a world. And we know, you and I, when we say the world of theater, we know exactly what that means, and we know all the aspects of it. Now, the world of theater defines what's relevant as parts in that, and somehow we know that. The world of high finance, the world of 13th Street in New York. We all know that is a world, and it has parts, and the world decides which parts are relevant or not.
Finally, let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence.
Right.
Since you talk about human beings driving, I think we can drive because we see our driving experience as a whole. But,
Right.
So, Elon Musk is trying to build a self-autonomous cars. Do you think that AI can compete us and AI can be even better at seeing the whole like human beings?
Well, two different ways.
Okay.
First of all, I have a car that drives itself.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't been driving for a year. Like, seriously, I haven't been driving for a year. I let the machine drive for
in
me.
New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think my kids will ever learn
To drive.
how to drive. No, I don't think it's going to be relevant because they already do it.
Okay.
But that's not a human world. That is sensors and cameras.
Yes.
So I think machines can do that. They don't understand the world of traffic.
No.
They don't understand the human
There's
world of
just
traffic.
a bunch of sensors.
Yeah, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's not what we're talking about when we talk about a world. So they are becoming increasingly good at mimicking human worlds, but that doesn't mean they understand anything.
Right.
These new machines doesn't understand. They don't create. They don't care. All the things that makes us human. So in that sense, they are amazing and incredible new technologies, but they're not us. They're different. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's just two different things.
How about ChatGPT? Do they know? Do they understand the whole world?
They think so.
They think so.
They think so.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly arrogant, and I think they don't understand what it's like to be human.
Right.
And I mean, the question is, there are humans and machines. Are we different than each other? So when a computer writes a text, is that creativity? Maybe. Is it human creativity? No, it's not. It's a mimicking of something. And it's an average and the most likely of something.
So it's just like focusing on some particular parts, and they're just good at focusing on something.
They're good at extracting the internet, the world.
Yeah, that's right.
And creating something that's relevant in that moment. But it's also just mimicking.
Yeah.
So
not observing or not looking at the whole picture.
And most importantly, it doesn't care.
That's a good
Humans
point.
care.
Yes.
Right? And not always for good reasons. We can care about really bad things, but we care. And that's what, it doesn't make us better, but it makes us different from machines.
So how does the concept of care come into your book? Because we talked about observing. Does care means a lot to observation?
Yeah, exactly. It makes, of course, it's the core of it. It's how we connect to the people we observe.
Because we observe because we care.
Yeah, because we care about it. And we can see what other people care about. So the third time, actually, for full circle, there's a third type of attention, which I call hyper-reflection.
Hyper-reflection.
In the book. And that is not just thinking what I care about, but I'm thinking about how does other people care about something, and we can observe that too. So I often my gym, my fitness exercise is to go to Union Square in Manhattan and look at the people playing chess, and I do that very often, several times a week, and just write down what I see, and I see people really caring. It's something as simple as a game of chess, but care is all over it, and I try to understand how people care about something as silly as
care about each chess players caring each other.
And I care about winning and what is even winning, and caring, teaching your kid to play chess and so on. So observing that situation is just my sort of going on a treadmill to
and you
to observe.
Keep notes?
I do. I've done it for.
We should do this.
Exactly. 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
And do you keep that notebook?
I do. I have a massive notebook about what winning is.
And do you look over it?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do. One day I think I'll write something about it.
You should write a book about, I don't know, chess or something.
Exactly. If you want to teach your son to play chess, you could say, what is winning then? Is winning destroying him every time? Or is winning seeing him develop and start understanding patterns of play and so on? That's what I'm trying to.
Question.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that for me, it's a kind of a detail about something, but for me, it's just my practice of keeping my attention awake.
I should do this. I should go out in the street and watch something.
Exactly.
So, Christian, we have to wrap up. I highly recommend to our viewers, 心眼 in Japanese, look, あなたを見ているようで見ていない. And also your previous book, Sense Making. So, any final comments for our viewers?
I would say as a professional, find the core phenomenon of what you're doing. If you're a nurse, think about what patients are like. If you are a manager, think about the topic you're managing and observe it every day. As a practice you do all the time. And then that will speed up all your decision making. It would make your world colorful and rich. I think that's my best piece of advice.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christian. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
はい、これからも海外の魅力的な起業家とか有識者をお呼びしますので、ぜひ皆さんチャンネル登録お願いします。